teacher conference? Ready to indulge in those I wish I could say that moments? You're in luck because you've just pressed play on the top-rated teacher comedy podcast on the planet. It's time for Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. Here's your host, the teacher comedian himself, Devin Siebold.
Hey, Crying in My Car, podcast for teachers. We're live on Facebook, also recording this for the streaming folks over on the different podcast platforms. Thank you all for supporting the podcast. Don't forget patreon.com/crying in my car if you'd like to support the podcast. Shout out to our new Patreon members, Audrey, Natalie, James, Lenore, and Red Kinoki. I don't think I said that right, but anyways. Those are our new Patreon subscribers. So happy to have you. And thank you to those people that are watching online, sharing the videos online. If you haven't followed me yet over on the TikToks, I'm still putting out my full-length videos, obviously, on Facebook and YouTube. But those of you that have not followed me on TikTok, I got a lot of exclusive content over there. And they're like 15, 30 seconds. I like TikTok. It's interesting. Let's just say it's different. I don't know. I don't understand the rhythms. Don't understand the algorithms. It does seem like some of the more controversial stuff gets pushed a little harder. The funny stuff. I like just making people laugh. So the good news is that TikTok pretty much allows me to do that. Some of the videos get 1 million views. Some of them get 1,000 views. I have no idea what, how, or who, but I'm up to like 90,000 subscribers over there. So that's different. Yeah. But shout out to all the people watching online. John, shout out to you. Jeanette, shout out to you. The Angry Texan, shout out to whoever that is. Kim.
Felix, what's up, man?
Your video cameo that you had the other day has been doing quite well. If you haven't seen it yet, I have the 2019 versus 2020 teachers video that we filmed at your place. And it was just a quick shoot. I brought over my script, said, here we go, and brought back Shank. So here's the thing. People don't realize Shank, like they were like, oh man, that's so funny. Shank, that's hysterical. But you've already done Shank.
Yeah. And I was wearing a different Pantera t-shirt and that video. And that was done at your old school when you were still teaching in classrooms.
Yeah. So yeah, that was actually done almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm going to see if I can find the original video. But the original video was basically you being filling in. And to be honest with you, it was pretty much the exact same scenario that we currently have today. And I don't see that video online.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah,
I've seen it a million times.
Yeah,
too.
I'll have to find it and I'll post it on my Facebook. But essentially, the whole reason for this entire cameo of you is that we're running short on teachers, and we recruited you from the jail,
right?
And to be honest with you, you look perfect for the part. I mean, you really do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look quite.
My hair's getting a little bit longer,
quite
and
jail-esque.
And getting back to it. I mean, back when I did this original video, my hair was actually long then.
Good night. I have so many videos online. Like sometimes I scroll through them and I forget that I even did any of them.
Yeah.
Like I literally click on them and I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I remember that. And I just forget. So I'm going to share it over on the Facebook. I'll copy the link and post it to the comments. But you've done this before. And I think we're going to do a little bit more with the Shank character.
Yeah, it's Sean K. You thought it was Sean K. and it's Shank.
Oh yeah, Sean K. and it was Shank.
Shank.
But yeah. So anyways, I thought it was a fun video. It seems to be doing really well. Almost 300,000 views. Shout out to everybody that's sharing it. If you want to support and you can't afford the Patreon, which is $2.99 a month, just share the stuff, share the videos, share the podcast, let everybody know what you are up to. Now, I went yesterday briefly to Epcot. So I wanted to go to Epcot. Kate and I celebrating kind of the first date 3-4 years ago, something like that. 3 years ago, she's gonna be mad at me. Anyways, we decided to meet up, and thanks by the way, Nathan, for the stars over on Facebook. I appreciate you there. But we meet up at Epcot. As you all know, I'm a big Disney fan. I go to Disney all the time. Been an annual pass holder for, gosh, going on like 12, 13 years now. And it is their food and wine festival. We decided to go grab some food and wine, which, by the way, is the dumbest plan ever. So I literally was thinking we should just go have a sit down dinner, anniversary dinner. Let's go to, a nice sit down at one of the nice restaurants around the world, maybe go have a dinner in France or, eat in Italy or something like that. And instead we were like, no, let's just go sample some stuff. We'll save some money. Greg, you don't save money. You go around and you sample 17 items at $7 each.
Yeah.
And you end up spending $180 anyways, when you could have sat down and had a full bottle of wine and 2 filet mignons. Instead, I'm walking around eating potato chips off of a trash can. That's genius. But we went there and it was, oh my gosh, it was great. But some of that stuff was just so good, but so heavy. It was so hot, man. Like, I don't know if you've noticed lately, but no wind. It's not raining. Like it's just the clouds are kind of hovering there, but there's no relief. And it's been muggy, like humid.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Straight up, like just coming out of the uterus outside is what it feels like. And it's not good. And it's definitely not good when you're in Epcot and there's people and there's walls up because they're doing construction. So there's no air getting through, even if there was a breeze. And then you're waiting in line in the heat and the sun. I waited in line for a lobster dip, and then I get it, and it's these chips and this warm lobster dip with like cheese and onions in it. And and I'm just sweating. And I'm just eating this thick lobster dip, just
the oil,
the oil and the onions and the heat and the smell of the lobster and the heat.
Then you burp and you're like,
oh gosh! And then we went over and I got some other food. So we ate. Now I want to go over some of the stuff that I tried out. First thing I tried out was the lobster, but I also tried a mac and cheese. Now there is a cowboy mac and cheese, and I want to be sure to, cowboy macaroni and cheese is macaroni and cheese base at the bottom with smoked pork belly on top, brisket burnt ends, pickled peppers, and onion straws. Bro, amazing. I mean, so good. So good.
Dude, I need to take a nap after hearing that.
Right. I mean,
jeez. And you're supposed to go ride rides and do stuff after eating that? That's stupid.
What's funny is I was eating this and it was delicious. And Kate got the regular mac and cheese. And I gave her a bite of mine. She goes, oh my gosh, that's really good. She goes, do you want a sample of mine? I said, do you not realize what I have in my hand is way better than yours? I was like, why would I? That's like interrupting me when I'm making love to a supermodel and saying, hey, do you want this Walmart greeter? No, I want what I have in front of me right now. I don't want that. I would like this, but it was just, by the way, no offense to Walmart greeters out there, because I'm sure there's some teachers out there that are. But anyways, I was blown away at how good it was. It was so delicious. The lobster dip that I had was also delicious, pretty heavy. One of my favorite things that they have, though, is, and I'm going to skewer this, so I need to make sure that I get it right. Let's see here. I don't know if I'm going to. Okay. So this is what I have. This is my favorite thing. If you ever go to Epcot, they have the corned beef corner route. It is in like this flavors from fire thing that they have. Smoked corned beef with crispy potatoes, cheese curds, pickled onions, and a beer cheese fondue. And it's a dip. Oh my gosh, bro. That's my favorite thing they had. Now, the one thing that I had that I did not like was this like ham, and it was a warm raclette. So you've seen
what was it?
Warm raclette cheese, Swiss cheese.
It was ham
with baby potatoes. Yeah, ham.
Okay, ham.
Why? What'd I say?
Hey, just
Cool Whip. Yeah. So, anyways. Have you ever seen these videos on TikTok and Instagram and everything of them taking this cheese and and they heat it up.
Oh, they have
and then they
that's in a
scrape it off.
They have one of those in a winter garden. It's called Morthan cheese. Yeah, it's
Really?
like the half cheese wheels. They put them in these
Yeah.
burners, and then you get nachos, and they're like, cholesterol.
That's what I had.
Oh, your feet are going to be up in the stirrups the next morning.
So they had Swiss cheese with ham, Alpine ham, and potatoes and a baguette of bread. And I got it. Now, let me tell you right now, this was the most conflicting dish that I had. It was heavy and it was salty, but it was delicious, the cheese, but it was a like real legit Swiss cheese. And if you ever had a real legit Swiss cheese, it does not smell good. Like, it smells terrible.
Yeah.
Like it actually smelled like my children's feet. Like when they come home and they've been running around, they take off their socks, I can smell it. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what this cheese smelled like. It smelled like my children's socks.
You're going to say the kids are going to start coming in and be like, you know what? I was thinking about having a patty melt tonight.
Well, no, that's the worst part is it tasted delicious. But I literally had to put the cheese onto the bread. And I had to put the ham onto the bread, and I had to take a deep breath and go, and then eat it. I couldn't actually smell it as I was eating it because it really ruined it. It was not a good smell.
Wow.
Yeah, but they had lobster stuff there. They had they had a s'mores funnel cake. Oh my gosh, they had some of the best stuff.
Now
the alcohol,
funnel cake.
Yeah, and they had the alcohol was really good too. But the I had and I don't drink a lot, but I had to have some refreshing things. I just had to have refreshing drinks, and the refreshing drinks just happened to be all alcoholic. But I was going around, and I mean, I was hot, and so I wanted the iced, stuff. And let me see if I can find what it was that I had. So in Hawaii, this is what I had. Oh, the passion fruit cheesecake was delicious. So I had the Aluani Sunrise, which was delicious. And Aluani, if you don't know, is the Hawaiian resort that Disney has. It was vodka, Dole pineapple juice, and grenadine. But it was just so refreshing, like really refreshing. So I enjoyed that one. New England lobster roll, good. Hot beef sandwich, did not get, was already about to die because it was so hot out there. Fisherman's seafood pie is delicious. I've had that. The one thing that disappoints me, though, is they used to have this griddled cheese in Greece. And if you've ever been there, the griddled cheese is delicious, but not this year. Like, I don't know, they did it wrong. But like, it used to be so good. Now it's like terrible.
Because all the Greeks took off to go to that wedding here in town. Remember, that's why they shut.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that.
No, remember, every restaurant in town that's owned by Greeks, all the different families, they closed down for an entire month to go to this wedding.
Was that the reason they closed down?
It pissed me off.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Egg Haven, how dare you?
Yeah, there was literally all the restaurants that were owned by the Greek families
Tom's,
here. They all closed
for
an entire month. I didn't know they knew each other.
In case people around the world do not know, the Greeks run Winter Haven, Florida, as far as any of your eateries. So if you do something to make one of them,
they make great food.
Yeah, they do. That's and really fast, efficient breakfast.
Yeah, and it's not Greek though.
That's it's most
never
of all
Greek.
their food is not Greek.
Ever.
Like you'll have a couple of things that'll be like, well, so and so made some baklava. We're going to sell it until we're out, or whatever.
Oh man, this is the one that I did not get to try, and I don't think it's open yet, but I may be wrong. They have a braised beef poutine, which is French fries, boursin garlic, a fine herb cheese sauce, cheese curds, and a relish. That sounds delicious. And then they have this one. This sounds good. Maple boursin cheesecake with whipped boursin, maple bourbon cheese, and candied pecans. Give me that, please, right now. The rest of it, I don't know. There's some good stuff, some that I don't know. Some aren't open yet. There are some that don't open till October. We did the flight of wine too, mimosas. So they had tropical mimosa, which was sparkling wine, passion fruit, orange, and guava juices. That was good. Then they had the key lime mimosa, which is key lime, sparkling wine, and cranberry juice. That was okay. Then they had the blood orange mimosa, which was blood orange juice and sparkling wine. Terrible. Really,
you don't like blood orange?
That it didn't go well like that. It wasn't with wine. Did not go well.
I mean, mimosas aren't supposed to be the best thing on the planet. I mean, I don't know a lot of people except like chicks that you're like, hey, I want to wake up and go drink mimosas. I'm like, if somebody gives me one for breakfast, I'm like,
A mimosa is just a
just champagne
excuse to get drunk at 9 a.m. That's all it is.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
There's a place in Texas, and people, if you are in Texas, holler at me on
Tommy
this.
Parsons is shouting out you out. He said that he did a recent open mic.
Oh, hey, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So question from Nathan, how do you drink alcohol in 95-degree sauna weather and not die? I don't know. I really don't. I thought that I was going to die about halfway walking around the world. There were some times, and I will say this. I got home, and let me tell you, if you've been to Disney, I got home, I took a shower, and then I laid down in my bed with no pants on, and I turned the fan on high and just put one leg out this side, one leg out that side, and just let the cold air come down on the inside of my thighs because I was hurting.
Oh, you had the gooch.
Oh, it hurt so bad walking around because walking around the world. I started to feel it. And then on the way to the car, I was like, no, this hurts.
Yeah, if you would have wore corduroys, they would have had to get fire department called.
I know, man. But and I tried to, waddle. I tried to do the waddle. Didn't work. Got to the car, felt it, went home, and was like, I need some talcum powder for this. This is not good. But it is what it is. It was a lot of fun. But I hope everybody honestly is enjoying their Labor Day. I know there's a lot of teachers out there that are off today. That's great. I always thought it was great because, you have where I taught, we would have Labor Day off, which we do. And then next week is a teacher work day on Monday. So you get 2 4-day weeks back to back. I know technically it's not a 4-day week because you're in school on Monday, but, it's 4 days with students. So it's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of a break. This is the calm before the storm of a big, long haul right before Thanksgiving. And then finally Thanksgiving breaks it up. And it's so funny because I remember just getting back from breaks and tomorrow I would go into school and immediately look at the calendar and go, okay, when's the next one of those? Oh, 2 weeks. Okay. Oh, wow. And then the next one to look forward to, the next one to look forward to, the next one to look forward to. Jeanette, thanks so much for the stars. Appreciate it. All right. Now I think we should take this time to jump into teachers. Oh, wait. And do you got anything that's going on? I didn't ask about you. I feel so selfish.
Oh, no, I just went to Texas and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hold on. Let's hear about your Texas trip because that was a big deal.
It was for Scott's wedding, a big listener of the show.
Mm-hmm.
His wife graduated from Texas Women's University in Denton.
Oh.
And there's a chapel on that campus, and I forgot all about it. And that's where they got married, at the Chapel in the Woods.
Chapel in the Woods.
Really, really beautiful old chapel.
That sounds like a horror movie.
It probably could be at night.
Chapel in the Woods.
It does kind of look scary at night. But anyways, and then the reception.
I guess depends on who you marry. Could be a horror movie.
Right. The reception we had was at Globe Life Park, which is the Texas Rangers' new stadium. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's a gigantic, awesome air-conditioned dome. And then I look back and I look at Tampa and I'm like, what are y'all doing over there in St. Pete? That is a pathetic stadium.
Well, they don't have any attendance. I mean, remember when we
went
there?
They would go to the World Series and there's still nobody in the stands.
I think you, me, and was it Scotty?
McCarthy.
Or McCarthy. Yeah. We all went there. And what did? We scalped tickets right outside the door for like $16 each and sat literally in the dugout.
Yeah, that was funny.
I think you were bat boy for one inning, but it was nobody wants to go see the Rays. That blows my mind though. But honestly, one of the best teams in the MLB. And if you ever want to go see a team play, go down to Tampa and just sit literally behind home plate for $30. And no stadium in the United States is like that, but nobody. And the reason being, people go, well, they just don't like baseball. The Rays are not in Tampa. They're in St. Pete, which is quite a ways away from Tampa. I mean, if you drive to Tampa and you arrive in Tampa, you have another like 35-minute drive to the stadium. So, I mean, it's a little different that it's not right in. I mean, it just is a little bit of a hike compared to Raymond James, which is right there, where the Bucks play and everything like that.
I will say that, and Angelina will agree, the trip just wasn't fun.
How was the wedding?
The wedding was beautiful, and that was the only part, was the day of the wedding. Everything, the rest of it was just miserable, hot, just lots of driving. There's a drug bust at the hotel that we were staying at, so we had to. And shout out to Chris White.
So you had to get bailed.
Yeah, my buddy was like, "Hey, dude, I got these points. I'm getting you out today." And
I meant meant you were the drug bust.
No. Oddly enough, we were coming back from the Biscuit Bar, probably one of the greatest breakfast concepts I've ever seen in my life. Anybody in North Texas will tell you, man, the Biscuit
Bar,
dude, it was amazing. I cannot stress enough. And dude, they had cocktails there. I was drinking at 9:30 in the morning. I was like, well, I'm kind of on vacation, kind of not. Let's start out. And
nice.
that was the beginning of a long day. But yeah, and then I'm selling my house.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had to drive from the DFW area 2.5 hours west, see some family, talk to the people that are buying my house, and drive straight back to the airport, turn the car in, and then fly over and around the hurricane. Yeah. And that was my trip, and it sucked. And I hated traveling like I did. Everybody was.
What airline did you fly?
I was on a Dollar General on the way there, but I was on American on the way back.
Oh, you flew American the way back? So you flew
yeah.
Spirit there, American on the way back?
Yeah, Angelina got it through Orbitz, and she's booked it. I got the rental car and all that stuff. And
you got the bad end of that deal.
Yeah, I did.
I'll get the flights. You get the rental car.
And the hotel. You
didn't know it's $400 a day to rent a Geo Metro.
No, I had a Kia Soul, but it was one of those new ones that kind of keeps it on the road. So I kept going, look, sweetie, it's driving itself.
It's great, isn't it?
I was like, sweetie, I could drink a beer.
Dude, I had one of those too. And you put on the cruise control and it keeps you in the lines and slows down when people are in front of you.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I mean, it's literally a self-driving car at that point on the highway.
Yeah, but after a minute or two, it starts beeping. It's like, put your hands back on the steering wheel. I was like, okay, sorry. Right. Even if I had one hand off, it would like kind of beep. And I'm like, God, this is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I was so glad to be there briefly. I do have a teaching story. This is something in the education cracks have slipped. In Graham, Texas, one of our really big listeners, Cheryl Adams, her kids were enrolled.
They even said Spirit Airlines, where the passengers are the in-flight entertainment.
That's funny. So my two cousins were enrolled in school.
Mm-hmm.
Then everybody got COVID in the family. They were in quarantine.
Oh no.
And because they missed the first day of school, the very first day of school, the school system unenrolled them. They had all their classes set up with their friends. Everything was mapped out.
That's surprising.
And that happened. So my cousin, she's pissed. She's got to take them back to the school, re-enroll them, get them new stuff. It's just, and all their Google Docs and everything they were signed up for, gone.
Were they out for a long time?
No, they missed just because they missed the very first day of school.
It's surprising because honestly, school districts love money, and money means kids in their class, and they usually wait like a week or two to do the actual head counts because they want those numbers up. You got to get those numbers up, man. Those are rookie numbers, and they want the numbers up because the numbers up means more funding. So for any school that I've ever taught in, if you're out the first day, they're calling you, trying to get you to come in because they need cash. That's 90% of the reasons why a lot of these schools went back to in person, because some parents were just going, well, if they're going to be online all day, I'm just going to homeschool them. And it wasn't, hey, let's do what's best for your children. It's we're losing money. We need money. And they get per student, per diem amount of money for them. And when the numbers start to dwindle, the money starts to go away. And, it became we're going back. That was the problem that I had. And one of the reasons why I quit was because they were forcing everybody back in when we weren't ready. And the reason they were forcing everybody back in was blatantly obvious, is that they were losing funds on these headcounts, and they were worried about, losing money. It's always money. Yeah,
my hometown, they just got a $600,000 jumbotron for our football team. Ever since the McCoys were there, the famous McCoy family that went and played at University of Texas, since they hit my hometown, it's all about the Friday Night Lights is really big again. And now we have a $600,000 jumbotron, but at the same time, you should see some of the streets in my hometown look absolutely atrocious.
That's so.
I was like, oh, this is be perfect for some of these giant trucks that we see driving around here with nothing going on.
Yeah. Rhonda says that they start enrolling on day 1 in Kentucky. And then some say that Holly says my county does a warm body count for the first 2 weeks of school, and then we'll unenroll you. That's kind of where we were too, is we gave it about 2 weeks, whether or not you were in or not. And then we reported it. So I don't know.
I think that's it. It's unfair for the kids because the kids that's the one thing they get excited about. They got everything set up. Now they got, my 2 little cousins, they're going to have to start over, and it's stupid. But thank you all the teachers out there that are helping the students that are having trouble adjusting to all this crap.
And there is a shortage, and we're going to talk about it right now in Teachers in the News.
From classrooms to chaos, we searched high and low for the craziest teacher stories this week. Here are your Teachers in the News.
All right, for Teachers in the News, first up, a pretty obvious one. U.S. school districts are scrambling. Across the country, they've been struggling with dwindling staff numbers because of the Delta infection spike, and also, obviously, doesn't talk about it, but I would say teacher dissatisfaction with their jobs. And says these full-time teachers are deciding to take breaks, leave the profession entirely. Some are actually, getting COVID and having to be out for extended periods of time. Districts in Georgia, California, Florida, Idaho, and other states are struggling to fill their substitute teacher rosters. And they're trying to, give out bonuses and all this other stuff. The worst part is, and this is clearly highlighted, substitute teachers across the United States are typically paid less than $100 per day of teaching, just a little over minimum wage. That's the problem. I mean, it just really is. You're not going to get substitute teaching is already, like I said before, we kind of discussed this before, but you're going in an underdog in this situation. You're going into a fight that you're going to have to, engage in. These students don't respond well to substitutes. The schools don't help them out, but also we never talk. The pay is just atrocious. It literally, you could spend 8 hours at the one thing I think that really is enlightening. You say, why would you be a substitute? The one thing that I ever considered being a substitute for, and that most substitutes say, is that you don't have to worry about getting fired for taking days off. Like you just have to, in my district, I think you just have to do like 3 days every 2 weeks. You have to be, they might up that requirement, but you just stay in the system. You have to substitute 3 days every 2 weeks. So like, for example, if I've got other stuff going on, I could say, I'm just going to substitute Tuesday this week. I just want to work Thursday. You can kind of pick and choose your schedules a little bit easier. But the problem is that we don't give them benefits. We don't give them good pay. We don't set them up for success. And we don't value them as much as we should. Even myself, I've been kind of known in the past to talk down, to my students sometimes about the substitute that I had. I don't know what they were going through, but sometimes I would have a substitute that wouldn't follow anything that I would do. And as a teacher, you're incredibly frustrated, but also you got to understand they're getting paid minimum wage, and you put them into a hard situation, and maybe they didn't, maybe they had something else going on.
Like the science teacher's like, all right, I'm going to have a list of experiments. I also want all these frogs dissected.
Cheryl says 65 a day in Graham.
Oh,
65 a day, 70 a day. I think here it's 80 a day. That's
with no teaching certificate.
And also the bad part is also it's a very unreliable job, because sometimes you can have a job, like I've done it maybe once or twice, where I've gone, okay, I need Tuesday off. And then all of a sudden my doctor calls and goes, hey, I got to move your doctor's appointment. Your doctor's out that day. And suddenly I don't need Tuesday off. So I cancel it on Monday. Well, a substitute might be, looking and going, oh, I needed that money. Now it's, last second, and suddenly, there's not any other substitute jobs available, and they don't get money. They don't get paid that day. And it's like, well, do I take a sick day and let them get paid, or do I not take a sick day and, keep it for myself? I don't know. It's a very unpredictable line of work.
I mean,
Sometimes you get long-term subs. Sometimes you get subs that are sign on for 10 days and they only need them for 5. Sometimes they sign on for 10 days and they need them for 20. You know, it's
have you ever gotten to know any of your subs? I mean, is there anybody out there? It's like, oh yeah, that dude's he substitutes my class. We actually play golf together too. He's a good friend of mine. You know,
I don't really meet the subs because they don't come in when I'm there. You know, I see them substituting for other people, and the students will be like, "Oh yeah, you know, such and such sub for us." And I go, "Oh, I've seen him before." You know, but not in my class and other people's classes.
Yeah.
So, and then there's sometimes where I mean, oh, one time I had to have a half day because I had to have a substitute that come in for half a day when I had a doctor's appointment that day. And I'm waiting. The substitute's coming in at like 10:30. All right. This young girl walks in and I go, I know you. I taught you last year. She goes, yeah. I was like thinking to myself, I was like, do you need somebody from this class or is there something else? She goes, oh, no, I'm your substitute. And I was like, you're like 19 and you're substitute. Some of these kids are older than you, you know? What are you doing in my class right now? And that's what they were. She was.
Why
there.
are you subbing here? You barely passed my class.
But I really, she did. She barely passed.
Really?
I was like, you didn't know the material when you were sitting here.
And now you're gonna come in here and teach it,
and come in here and teach it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It is 100% true. She was a student of mine, and then the next year she was a substitute.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I don't think she's substituting anymore, but it was I was just like, ooh, you know, I didn't know. I don't select it. It's just random. But I couldn't imagine that she would have a good like hold on that class, you know, because she was kind of a popular kid and most of them knew her. You know, how do you manage a class where everybody knows, hey, that's our friend, you know? Are you going to listen to when she's like, hey, you know, if you go to the restroom, come back in 5 minutes. You know,
yeah, I'm going out to the, what we used to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do? I don't know.
God, man, in all my years, there was always substitutes. There was one that was young, I remember, and I think she was in her 20s, but we were always, you know, like Miss So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. And this teacher was like, or this substitute said, oh, just call me Angie, everybody. Mm-hmm. And we had her for a week. Yeah. And she was cool. And she kind of stuck to, you know, the most part of what we were supposed to do. But she was just kind of just sat back there and like did her nails and stuff. I mean,
all right, next one, Florida. We got teachers that are running out of paid time off with repeated COVID exposure. There's a lot of students that are getting COVID, and some of them are getting COVID and being this thing. They're pulling students out. So like, you know, they have seating charts and they go, okay, Derek has COVID, reported COVID. Who's Derek sitting here? You know, okay, there's 3 students that should be quarantined, and they pull them out. But those rules are becoming so lax. Derek's been all over the room. Derek's touched everything. Derek went and played PE with them. Derek sat with all of them at lunch, but we're going by the seating chart. So they pull 3 out that were sitting next to Derek. And then a week later, you know, the teacher gets quarantined. The teacher's got to go. You know, teacher was around Derek the whole time, helping him with whatever.
Right.
So the teacher comes back and it turns out, oh, Derek did spread COVID to other kids in the class. And now another kid has COVID the very next week. And suddenly teacher has to quarantine then too for a different group of children within that class, you know, and teachers are running out of paid time off. You know, they get 10 days, but 10 days, that's just one cycle of COVID.
Yeah, it is.
And suddenly they've got to head out. But I don't know. It's what do you do? I mean, some of these teachers are running out of sick leave and being told they can't come back to class. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what you do at that point. I would, and I hate to say that, I would file for unemployment. I'd say, you're telling me that I have a job and you aren't working me. You're not giving me hours. I'm laid off for these next 10 days.
Yeah.
You know, I need 10 days of unemployment check because if I'm not going to get paid from you, I have to get paid from somewhere. And you can't be this as a teacher. You can't be quarantined in one job and then not work the second. I don't know how teachers are doing it to have a second job, because if your first job quarantined you, then your second job is probably also going to say, don't come in, but you're not getting the 10 days paid sick leave. I mean, at that second job. So now you're out 2 jobs, you know, I don't know. It's just
crazy.
it's almost like, we could solve this with just virtual teaching, but why go through all the trouble of something that we've already worked on and done well? All right. It doesn't make any sense. I don't even know what you would do. It's a frustrating it's literally, we're living through Bart Simpson and his quote, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's literally what we're doing right now. So, which, by the way, I don't know if that that may reflect my age, but I don't know if that's actually, Bart Simpson's originating of that, or if it came from.
I think his origination was "Eat My Shorts."
Yeah, but I think that he had the other one too. I don't know. So, anyways, a resident has undergone a transformation from rodeo bum to teacher to author. There was Michael Johnson has his 10th book, The Story of Blue, a rope horse, at the Commerce Public Library, and did an interview with a local newspaper. This person apparently was a mess when they were growing up in Texas, New Boston. They were a rodeo cowboy, a rodeo bum. He said that he grew up, he had 13 F's in a row, and decided he just wasn't doing well. And a teacher brought him to the side and said, memorize this. That's all I'm asking you to do. Memorize this one paragraph. And they memorized that paragraph. And he said, see, you got it. It's all it is. It's just, working through it and just working harder. And he said, I know that this is an interesting line. He says, he says, you can't outthink them, but you can outwork them. That's what the teacher told the student. And he said, and I never made a B, C, D, or F again. My IQ didn't go up, but my work ethic went up a lot. So anyways, this guy went from rodeo bum to actually becoming a teacher and a local professor, and has now published 10 books and is a successful author. That's awesome, and it is all with the help of another teacher. So kind of cool.
They still do rodeos?
I don't know if they still do rodeos or not. Michael Johnson is his name. I imagine he does, but he's got a whole bunch of books on rodeos and horses and things like that. Some of them look like, there's some pretty impressive books there. And it also looks like he does some music, because there's a picture of him that looks like an album, and he's standing next to a guitar. It says Michael Johnson. I don't know if he actually does music too, but he might. Jack of all trades. Interesting. All right. We talked about this last week, and we were up in arms. We didn't know what was happening. Remember, there was a teacher who was in a same-sex relationship and was fired from a Catholic school?
Yes.
Turns out that was something we were discussing. That was a recent news article. Turns out that has happened before plenty of times, as we have discussed before.
Oh, yeah, it had to.
But this is the interesting thing. We finally have a ruling on it. In 2014, Lonnie Billard was fired from his drama and English teaching role at Charlotte Catholic High School after he shared his plans to marry his long-term partner on Facebook in 2014. He was told just weeks later that he was being terminated from his position. He filed a lawsuit in 2017. Said he didn't understand it. He said he never kept his sexual orientation from the school. Him and his partner had attended school events, met members of the staff, and nothing happened until he posted the wedding announcement on Facebook. And apparently the diocese said that going on Facebook, entering into a same and saying in a public way that he does not agree with the teachings of the Catholic Church were ground for termination. Turns out a U.S. district judge, which, by the way, has the most judge-like name I've ever heard. Max Cogburn Jr. Oh. Max Cogburn Jr. said in an official ruling that the Catholic Archdiocese of Charlotte had broken workplace discrimination lawsuits for dismissing him from being gay and were entitling him to all of his back pay, benefits, and damages. So it turns out they can't, according to this U.S. district judge. Interesting. I'll be interested to see if this goes to the Supreme Court, because that's the next one up for it. But this district judge apparently ruled in favor of the teacher and said that even though it's a private school, they can't do that. They can't fire you based on your sexual orientation. So remember, we had discussed this before, and they were saying they could. And it turns out this district judge said, nope, can't do it. Yeah. So
I mean, if it was in Florida, Florida's a right to work state. They could just say, "Oh, we're firing you because you wore the wrong shirt or whatever."
Florida has very loose.
Yeah, they are.
You get fired at any time,
This state
anything.
sucks, but I enjoy firing people sometimes for being idiots. I ain't gonna lie.
You just like firing people. That's funny. All right. So Manchester teacher resigns after I don't understand this article. Help me understand this, Gregory Parrott.
He said Manchester
A
United.
Manchester teacher. No,
Oh.
this is in Connecticut. Manchester, Connecticut teacher resigns after refusing to teach the district's mandatory equity work. So I read that and I said, oh, they don't want to teach about equality. They're a bad person. Good. Bye. But then I read the article. The article doesn't make any sense. It says a teacher resigned after refusing to teach the equity work. Apparently, this person taught at the school district for 3 years. So it's always been her passion. While the passion hasn't changed, the curriculum has. She said apparently there's a big rollout, including books, questions, and activities focusing on race. We already knew this. This is where I don't get it. This is her quote. We were given read aloud books with a series of questions to ask our students during and after these read aloud books. Just a few examples. I think it was totally unfair that white people were allowed to automatically have the bench at the bus stop just because they were white. I do not think white people are better or more deserving than black people, which makes it very upsetting to me that they got better treatment. I would tell my students that if they're ever watching this, that they are cared for and loved. They are more than just the color of their skin. I'm so proud of them. I look forward to seeing all the great things they do. And she quit. Her statement makes no sense.
Yeah,
it literally sounds like she's on board with the teachings. Yeah, that was something wrong that we did, and we
goodbye.
should teach. I know. By the way, I'm quitting in protest. So I read this
Skeletor
article.
meme come to life.
I read the article and I really have no idea because it doesn't give any additional stuff. It just says that's it. That she read this stuff and by the way though. I will say, I don't want to ask our listeners this because I've often wondered this. The statement from the school system says they recognize their responsibility to address in-grade and age-appropriate ways to include issues on racism, inequalities, discrimination, and system bias. We know that the historic current realities of racism make it more difficult for Black, Latinx, I've seen that. So Indigenous and other students of color to be successful. What we're doing is necessary, relevant, and overdue. So my question is, and I've seen this in so many official publications, Latinas do not use Latinx, the Latin X, Latinx. I don't even know how you say it.
I thought you were just. I'd never heard that before. I thought you
Had
were
you
talking,
never?
No, I thought you were saying
Latinx.
Dude, I thought you were talking about a Latin
it's
Kleenex.
No.
Honestly, we're like they don't like them. They like our regular Kleenex. I didn't know,
Greg. No, it's so you have Latino and Latina, and it has definitive male and female characteristics. So this is kind of an inclusion of all gender. Latina.
Well, then why don't we just say Latin?
Latin, yeah. Well, because you're not really referring to the person in that particular sense. I'd have to have an English teacher.
I'm about to lose my mind over.
But yeah, crap. But this is the thing. I have heard from numerous Latinas and Latinos that this is not something they want. They don't like it. Nobody that is of Latin descent has ever been approving of this, going, yes, let's do that. It's always the other people that are forcing this on them and going, no, this is the new way we say it to include everybody. And they're going, no, we're actually fine with the way we currently say it. Like that's what and I saw this debate kind of on Twitter too, but this district using that term kind of reignited that argument in my head of, do we use it? Do we not? It just seems like very, I don't know. It doesn't seem. No, I wouldn't say stupid. It is. I get the point behind it. But if the people you're trying to refer to don't want it to be used, then why continue to use it? You're trying to be,
because it's a less than 1% of the population want to change all this, and we have to make everybody happy.
But they're not making that. They're not pushing for that. Apparently. That's the thing, is that people aren't pushing for it.
Okay, well, then let's just not say it then.
I guess I'm not, but I just see it so many times. Hispanic, yeah, people here use Hispanic. That's true. But I don't know. I don't know the actual terminology behind it, but every time I've ever seen it used, people get mad about it. And I heard this debate on the radio with Angel from Monsters in the Morning, who is obviously Latino. And he said, no, he said, we don't use it. He said, it's something we don't use. We hate using it.
I never heard it until today. And, and I hope I never hear it again.
Well, you might not.
I mean, honestly, though,
catch on.
Honestly, I mean, as soon as you said it, I was like, it sounds like something that I would
made up.
I would pick up. I would pick up at the Hispanic food store over in Juanita. You know, like it's like a Mexican Kleenex. You know, like some of the other stuff that I go and shop for whenever I'm cooking.
Right. I get it. I understand. All right. By the way, I do have some shows coming up, but I want to go ahead and remind you, I will be at the Watsika Theater doing a show just outside of Chicago. Those of you that are in Illinois, this is a pretty cool old theater. Neat little area. Tickets are on sale now. devincomedy.com. You might want to check it out. I do have a virtual show that I'm going to be doing for a food bank as a fundraiser. You're welcome to hop on that. I'll post that link as soon as I have it. Should have it tomorrow. I'm going to be in South Downtown on the 23rd of September in South Downtown Orlando. And then I've got a big run, Michigan. I'm coming for you October 6th through 9th. I'll be at the Watsika Theater south of Chicago on the 10th. I'll be at Ocala Bonkers, and Myrtle Beach Comedy Zone is coming up October 21st through 24th. Myrtle Beach Comedy Zone, and I'll be at the Villages too the last week of this month, which you'll be there too, right? You'll be doing those shows.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have a Miami date too. Oh, October 2nd, I will be in Miami. So if you're in that area, October 2nd, and then I will be over at Side Splitters in Tampa, December 9th through 12th. I just booked that as well. So yes, it is. Lizard asked, isn't Latinx a non-binary gender neutral term? Yes, it is. But I've heard so many people in the Latin community saying they just don't use it. They don't think it's needed. And that's people that are generally supportive of, gender pronouns that just said it's unnecessary. Which I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'm asking to be educated for here,
right.
But not be educated by a white person that is trying to tell me how Latin people want to be acknowledged. Right. Because that's a small trend that we're having, where white people will tell us, how we need to address other cultures. I'd like the culture to tell me, I want to.
Now, when you go to Japan, you're going to need to do these things. Say. Yeah. Okay. No.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for supporting. And you got anything coming up you need?
Yeah, I've got the stuff with you at the Villages. I've also got October 8th and 9th at Margaritaville Resort in Orlando. And possible trip up north too. So we'll see what happens.
Somebody asked about West Coast dates. I'm actually trying to line up something October 3rd or October 4th, because I will be in Sacramento on October 5th. So look for that. There might be something around the Sacramento area the day before on October 4th. I'm trying to line that up. So, all right. Thank you again for supporting patreon.com/crying in my car. And we'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers. Thank you all so much. I hope this works. This might be your outro. Nope, it's mine. Good. All right.
Be sure to subscribe and rate this podcast 5
Never
stars. Submit all your awesome teacher stories to cryinginmycar@gmail.com and check out Devin on tour. Info and merch can be found at devincomedy.com. Support the podcast on patreon.com/cryinginmycar and get exclusive weekly bonus episodes. And tune in every week for more hilarious stress relief for teachers right here on Crying in My Car, a podcast for teachers.